So this has to be the wildest lottery winner story I've ever heard. And it all starts with this woman. Her name's Tanda. And Tanda's in her late 20s, living in Alabama, and she's working as a server at the local Waffle House, barely making enough money to get by. But one day in 1999, her whole life changes. Because she's at work serving food and whatnot, and a customer walks in. This truck driver, Edward. And Edward eats at this Waffle House a lot. And on this particular day, Tanda is his server. And when he's done eating, he tips her with a lottery ticket, which he often tips the servers there with lottery tickets. But the next day, the lottery numbers are announced. And one after another, Tanda's ticket starts to match. And suddenly, boom, all the numbers match. And Tanda has officially won the lottery. $10 million, which adjusted for inflation would be about $19 million today. So this amount of money is a life-changing amount of money for anyone, but especially for Tanda. So immediately, she quits her job at the Waffle House, and she starts making plans for this money. She decides to receive it in payments of $375,000 a year over 30 years, rather than getting the lump sum all at once. She plans to build a new house. She plans to replace her car with a new car. I mean, this is huge for her. $10 million is gonna set her up forever. She's gonna be rich. Until... a few days later, Tanda shows up to the lottery headquarters to sign some paperwork and collect some of her winnings. And the people working there are suddenly like, nah, bro, she can't have the money. Why? Well, because at the Waffle House Tanda worked at, all the waitstaff there claimed that they all had some long-standing agreement that if one of them won the lottery from Edward's tickets that he tips, that they would split the winnings amongst them. And so 4 of Tanda's co-workers who had been working that day, they feel like they deserve a piece of that $10 million. And so they went and hired lawyers. And the lawyers contacted the lottery commission and they stopped them from paying out Tanda until the dispute can be resolved. And Tanda's like, what? I didn't agree to split the winnings. And so, boom, her 4 former Waffle House co-workers file a lawsuit against her. And so eventually, they all go to court, and the 4 co-workers all testify against Tanda. And they even bring in Edward as a witness. And Edward testifies against Tanda too, claiming that he intended for the winning ticket to go to all the waitstaff there, not just Tanda. And he also claims that he was promised that the winner would buy him a white King Cab pickup truck. And so the trial goes on for a while, and at the end of it all, Tanda actually loses. The jury believes the Waffle House co-workers. And the judge orders that Tanda take the lump sum payment of winnings and split the money with the other 4 Waffle House servers. And of course, Tanda is pissed off, and she feels like she won that money fair and square. And so she appeals the court's decision. But in the meantime, she goes back to work at a different Waffle House while she waits on the appeal to go through. And around a year later, in the year 2000, the state Supreme Court reaches a decision, and they rule in Tanda's favor. And Tanda can't believe it. Finally, the lottery winnings are hers, and hers alone. She is gonna be rich! Double until that same year, boom, Edward himself files a lawsuit against Tanda, claiming once again that he had intended for the winning ticket to go to all the servers at Waffle House, and also that he was promised the winner would buy him a white King Cab pickup truck. And because those promises were broken, he wants his winning lotto ticket back, which means he would get the full $10 million. 2 years later, it's now 2002, and Edward's lawsuit is still going on. And if that isn't bad enough, Tanda is in the middle of a divorce. And her former husband, the guy she's divorcing, is also claiming that he's entitled to half of Tanda's lottery winnings. And so she and her now ex-husband get divorced. And I don't know if she had to give him any of her winnings. That's not public information that I have. But lucky for Tanda, in Edward's lawsuit against her, the court actually dismisses the case. So his greedy ass isn't gonna get any money, nor is he getting that stupid ass white truck he wants. So now, finally, Tanda can enjoy what's left of her winnings. She is gonna be rich. Triple until. Now here's where things get really crazy. A few days after Edward's lawsuit against her gets dismissed, Tanda is over in Mississippi, and I have no idea why she's there, but her ex-husband is there. Not the ex-husband she just divorced, but a different ex-husband. We'll call him ex-husband 2. And so she's there in her car, and at some point, for some reason, ex-husband 2 just snaps. And boom, he jumps into her car and he pushes her into the passenger seat. And soon, ex-husband 2 is driving Tanda across the county. And he's yelling at her and he's threatening to unalive her if she doesn't agree to share her lottery winnings with him. Sometime later, they pull up to a boat launch, and he's still threatening her, saying she needs to hand over some of that money, while Tanda is begging him to let her go. And then, bring, Tanda's cell phone rings, and she's like, please let me answer it. And ex-husband 2 is like, nah. But the phone is in her purse, and it keeps ringing. And she's like, if I don't answer this, people are gonna start to worry, and they're gonna come looking for me. And so ex-husband 2 is like, I answer it. And that is when she reaches into her purse, and instead of grabbing her phone, boom, she grabs a .22 pistol she's got in there. And ex-husband 2 sees it, and pow, he lunges at her, and blam, she shoots him right in the chest. But he still grabs the pew-pew, and he manages to wrestle it from her. And Tanda, thinking on her feet, she's like, if I don't drive you to the hospital, you're gonna die from that wound. And so he lets her take him to the hospital. And ultimately, he survives the gunshot. And she actually gets no charges for shooting him, because, he was trying to kidnap her. Now, I don't know if he actually got charged for kidnapping her, because there's literally no record of what happened to him anywhere that I can find. So I'll just assume that he was arrested and that they sent him to a federal butt-sex prison. Regardless, now Tanda's still got some money left after all those court battles and legal fees. And nothing now is standing in her way. She can finally enjoy it. She is finally gonna be rich. Quadruple until Tanda decides to split her winnings with her family. And she transfers shares of her winnings to her family members. And this is when the IRS catches on. And the IRS is like, if you're sharing that money with your family, that counts as a gift. And gifts that large are actually subject to a gift tax. And so after all is said and done, Tanda owes the IRS $800,000, which is a huge chunk of her winnings. And so Tanda's like, nah, bro, that wasn't a gift. But the IRS isn't buying it. And ultimately, she works out some kind of deal with them, and nearly a decade later, in 2012, tax court orders Tanda to pay a bunch of taxes on her winnings. But, lucky for her, at the end of it all, she does get to keep most of what she won. Although, no one actually knows how much money she ended up with, because by this point, I think she finally learned to not tell people how much money she has.